reservation for Nagaland women in the civic polls. Apart from that, the Chandrayaan update, something that we've been doing every day. Where is it right now? Is it just in limbo up there in the space? What's happening on that front? It is the 24th Kargil Diwas, Vijay Diwas. We're going to bring you visuals straight from Ladakh. When you're looking at the line of actual control and the friction over there, National Security Advisor of India, Ajit Doval, he's spoken to China. He says the LAC friction has eroded the trust between these two countries. On the other hand, we know about Seema Haider. After that, a new case has propped up. An Indian woman has married a Pakistani via social media and the internet. I mean, what is social media all about today? People download PUBG not to play video games but to marry their partners. What about all these other dating apps? Something for all of us to ponder. We're also going to be looking at floods and rains because the unrelenting rain isn't stopping to cause the havoc that it already is. We've seen Junagadh, visuals from Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. There's a cyclone expected in Odisha as well, even as the entire coastal belt down south prepares itself for more hefty rain that's about to come. In the national capital, also why my colleague Varghese is not here in the studio right now is because, well, he's down with conjunctivitis. According to the AIIMS Delhi, 100 cases per day of conjunctivitis, and it's not, a situation that's only happening and taking place in the national capital. It's also happening in Uttar Pradesh and various other parts of the entire national capital region. And also, in some international news, striking and stark visuals coming from Greece where the wildfire has thrown life out of gear. We'll talk about all of this. Let's quickly get the ball rolling. I'm guessing Pankaj, my colleague, is with us right now. Pankaj, a very good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Well, all good this side, Kabir, albeit a wet morning and waking up to a rainy morning obviously sets up the mood for the day. But as you turn the newspapers, several worrying news coming in. Rise and Little Ebb, Hindam stays on the edge. One critical story, a woman returned to inundated village to feed her cattle, but she unfortunately drowned. Parking yard with 350 cars goes underwater. The visual that kept everyone on tenterhooks yesterday because Noida so far hadn't seen that kind of deluge. But looks like in the last 24 hours, obviously, things have changed. Meanwhile, in Delhi, Yamuna water level has receded. So, yeah, that's the summation of the wet morning that we have witnessed.
Well, the newspapers haven't really come in. What are you picking up in terms of the opposition's move to, plan that no confidence motion? It is, I mean, one has to question the timing. So close and soon ahead of the 2024 election. It seems like the India alliance is really, pulling its socks up.
Yes, definitely, Kabir. See, there are two aspects to it. First one is obviously Manipur and the emanating friction out of it. And secondly, the somewhat jittery approach of the NDA, primarily the BJP, towards INDIA. Yesterday, we had a conversation late in the evening about how does it matter if Prime Minister Modi refers to Indian Mujahideen or East
You
India
told me
Company.
that I was arguing. Now you're calling it a conversation, Pankaj.
Well, arguments at the end of the day are conversation. What remains to be seen is how people perceive it. From my point of view, which doesn't change, is the fact that it's a masterstroke once again from the Congress and team. And for the BJP, it would be a tightrope walk how to choose their words, and they must do it very carefully. Meanwhile,
masterstroke, Pankaj, only time will tell, but the opposition's bid to move this no confidence motion, yeah, you're showcasing that headline.
Yes.
Is that going to be a masterstroke or not?
Well, again, see, I mean, all the morning newspapers, mostly Indian Express, Times of India, Navbharat Times, have come up with the same East India Company, PFIIM, to have India name in it. And just next to it is opposition's no confidence motion in Lok Sabha today. So trust me that India jibe is not going to help that much. And the opposition is at it as far as Manipur is concerned. We saw yesterday even Amit Shah tabling a bill amid acrimony and the protesting MP is still sitting outside the Parliament House. So that's there. The second aspect, obviously, is that of NDA trying to take on this new coalition. As of now, the ministers are firing all cylinders as far as the India conglomerate is concerned. Manipur police searches for origin of fake lynching video. This is one headline that the Times of India has come up with. Manipur government wants to send back 718 Myanmar refugees. This is something, Kabir, that has also picked up a lot of steam overnight.
It seems like the no confidence motion also, Pankaj, is a bit to pressurize the ruling dispensation and the Prime Minister to, come and give statements and, on issues such as Manipur.
Yes, obviously. See, in an attempt to force Prime Minister Modi to speak on Manipur's strife that has brought the monsoon session to a grand standstill, opposition parties of the India bloc on Tuesday decided to move a no-confidence motion against the BJP government with focus on northeastern states. Late Tuesday night, Congress leaders Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and all met. So yes, no-confidence motion again is another tactic and step in the book where you can bring it to the notice of the government that what your demands are. And the opposition hadn't minced their words, even if yesterday, when we saw from 2 o'clock when Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha proceedings started, Rajya Sabha continued for some time, but Lok Sabha, after say 15-20 minutes, was adjourned. So, it might appear that the opposition might be relenting as far as inside the parliament is concerned, but outside the protest goes on. So once again, yes, they will be trying a different salvo altogether this time around on Prime Minister Modi, and let's see whether this no confidence motion is, if at all it comes on the floor of the House, whether it gets any attempt.
Pankaj, no, absolutely right. But the fact that the Home Minister has written to both the leader of oppositions, Mallikarjun Kharge and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. What a duo and combo for the Congress party as well. Amit Shah has written to both of these on the fact that, let's actually come and debate Manipur. Don't stop us from debating Manipur. What does this kind of posturing tell us?
Well, this kind of posturing only says that the government is not changing its line as of now, and so is the opposition. Both of them are stuck, interacting differently in opposition and in own states. I mean, some of these charges also, acquire a very different color. So for government, see, they are going by the book. They are following the parliamentary proceedings. Also, Manipur issue of law and order. Home Ministry is the one that takes care of it. So hence, Home Minister Amit Shah will respond to it. That's what the government is saying. The opposition, meanwhile, is demanding that the Prime Minister, who spoke for at least 35 to 40 seconds at the beginning of the monsoon session, now the opposition wants the Prime Minister to respond to it. And that's what the logjam is all about. Who blinks first, that remains to be seen once again. But yes, I think if the opposition parties relent, if they are ready to listen to it, there's something always, it's said that something is better than nothing. If the government is ready to respond, if the government is ready to discuss, then I think one should go ahead and listen to what the Home Minister has to say. And obviously, you can always raise slogans even after that. So, in my opinion, let's hear the Home Minister out.
We also have a little quotation from the leader of Congress in the Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who's, yesterday said that opposition parties will be bringing a no-confidence motion in the Lok Sabha against the government on the 26th of July. The Congress, meanwhile, Pankaj, has issued a whip directing all Lok Sabha MPs to be present in Parliament. The move is likely, a pressure tactic to get the Prime Minister to make some sort of statement in the House on the Manipur issue. A proposal to submit the notice was discussed at a meeting of the constituents of the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance on Tuesday morning. Now the number game, Pankaj, here. The Lok Sabha currently has a strength of 543 seats, of which 5 are vacant. The BJP-led NDA has over 330 members. The India Alliance has over 140, and over 60 members belong to parties that are non-aligned to any of these two groups. Now, the first no-confidence motion against the Modi government in the Lok Sabha was moved on the 20th of July back in 2018. The National Democratic Alliance scored a thumping win with 325 MPs voting no and only 126 in favor of the no confidence motion. In terms of history and in terms of what are you expecting when we're looking at the number game here, Pankaj?
Well, see, numbers clearly favor the NDA in the Lok Sabha, and as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, with this particular gamut of opposition parties coming together, there is a possibility that they might have a slight edge, but that also remains to be seen. Now, see, no confidence motion obviously at times can be used as a loose trick also, and if it fails, it falls flat completely. So for the opposition, obviously, to put their demands forward, this is one step ahead. This is one step in addition to what they have been doing so far. But for the government, which is as of now, taking everything with a straight bat, I think it might just be another dot ball from the opposition side, and the government might just leave that and not pay much attention to it, rather focus on firing back at the opposition, saying that the government is ready to discuss, but the opposition is not.
Now, Amit Shah, in those two identical letters to Mallikarjun Kharge and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, the main line, I'm just going to read that out for you, Pankaj. It says, I hope that all parties will cooperate in resolving this important issue. He also said that the government is ready to discuss the Manipur issue and urged all to cooperate, rising above the party lines. On the other hand, the Prime Minister has compared the Indian alliance with the India Mujahideen, the East India Company, something that we were talking yesterday. I mean, two totally different things, how the Home Minister is approaching the situation and how the Prime Minister is approaching, the political situation.
Well, yes, see, I mean, it's a multi-pronged attack or a retaliation on both, the opposition from several fronts within the NDA. Obviously, Prime Minister is taking a hardened stand, taking a go at the nomenclature, but a Home Minister who is touted to be responding to the questions in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has rather chosen a constitutional, a parliamentary method of writing to the heads of the political parties, and Congress being one of them. For Amit Shah, I think sticking to the line is what is going to work as of now, because if acrimony is responded by acrimony or replied to by acrimony only, it is not going to help at all, at least the NDA, because they are on the back foot as of now, because they are the ones who have to answer. Opposition has all the right to question them, and they have lots of questions. This time around, what they are saying is, no, we want answers from a particular person, to which the government is not ready. And they are saying that going by the book, it's Home Minister, because it's his ministry, and he should be responding to it, to which Amit Shah is ready also. He made a fervent plea also day before yesterday that he is ready. But there should be discussion. We did not see anything happening yesterday. And today, equally, I believe, with this no confidence motion, I don't know how much of an icebreaker it would be as far as a reply and as far as a practical solution or a thought to all those Manipuris who are perishing and struggling in the Northeast would get. As of
All right, so certainly a big day that's lined up when we're looking at the parliamentary proceedings. Although, however, I wouldn't be surprised if it's again a complete washout, Pankaj. Last couple of sessions, not just the last few days in the current, monsoon session, last monsoon session, last winter session, owing to various different bills, it has been a complete washout, and people have been asking, this is our taxpayers' money that's been used for electricity and services and catering in the parliament building. And we've built a brand new parliament, but what's the use if, the politicians and the members of parliament don't really make any good use of it? We'll have to wait and watch as to what happens in this vote of no confidence against the Prime Minister, even as the numbers are stacked right in favor of the National Democratic Alliance. Pankaj, let's shift our focus here to Manipur. Yesterday we spoke about the larger Northeast question, what's happening in Manipur and the ripple effect that is being felt in the neighboring states. Meghalaya Chief Minister's office was attacked. In Mizoram, Zoramthanga came out in support of, all the... take a look at that particular visual. That's the huge rally that was held in Aizawl in Mizoram. In Tripura, there has been a demand for a greater Tripura land for the longest time. Greater Nagaland has been a demand. We were asking that particular question. Today, we're looking at the positive steps. The Chief Minister took to his microblogging website, Twitter, and he's put out, visuals of the accommodation, the temporary accommodation that have been made for people to go back to their, villages, their ancestral homes, albeit not their, old homes, but temporary accommodations. On the other hand, that first train has come from Guwahati to Imphal. Internet ban has been partially lifted. Now, partially lifted, you're probably in a better position to tell us what this conditional, lift means, because the broadband has been allowed, but it seems like mobile internet is still down, social media sites are still blocked, you still can't use Wi-Fi. What's really happening over there, Pankaj?
Well, yes, this partial ban, as you mentioned, means that broadband can be used, but mobile internet is out of bounds as of now, and that is being done primarily to reduce or to curtail the spread of rumors, fake news, unverified information, which can actually cause public outrage, much sooner than expected. So that's pretty much there. Lifting of ban is always, internet ban is always welcome. And the government this time around also has taken a leap of faith and has allowed this. As far as the Manipur situation is concerned, well, Navbharat Times, Kabir, has published a front page and then an editorial page on the exclusive conversation that the NBT had with is पुलिस से चूक हुई हमें खराब लगा हिंसा के पीछे साजिश और घुसपैठ. So basically Biren Singh is admitting to the fact that there were lapses on the police's part as far as that particular video is concerned. He said that there were so many FIRs at that time that police could not pay attention to the video that emerged a few days ago, and which has since then been causing a lot of debates and raising questions on both the Manipur government and the police there. Now, for Biren Singh, obviously, this is not the time to procrastinate or to leave the chair as of now. We have seen it earlier also happening when at the end of June, when he planned to resign, but then he chose not to, citing public support. So now that he is in the chair, back in the CM's chair, he should rather have his task cut out and should be performing as a chief minister. As far as the incident of the illegal entry of 700 people from Myanmar is concerned, that's concerning. That has raised quite an eyebrows on the social media as well, that why the Home Ministry is not duly informed, and why is it that the Manipur situation as of now is being blamed for these migrants to enter from Myanmar. So all those aspects definitely, it makes you weak. Any state which is a border, which has borders with international countries other than India, they become vulnerable to acts like these, situations like these. Once the internal security, once there is turbulence within the house, obviously it's a third party which tries to take advantage of it. How it is being interpreted, well, the social media is rife with a lot of interpretations. But one thing is for sure, that for Biren Singh, obviously it's not the challenge that lies within, but also on the borders. And if not checked properly, obviously this could pose another headache for the man of the moment, Biren Singh.
Well, on Tuesday, an order issued by the Home Department of the state government announced that the suspension of internet services is lifted conditionally, Pankaj, in a liberalized manner. Conditional lifting in a liberalized manner. And we've constantly been looking at, this 5-day extension of internet bans, 5-day extension of internet bans. Now, according to the list of conditions, these liberalized conditions, social media websites and VPNs at the local level are going to be blocked. There is going to be no Wi-Fi or hotspot that will be allowed from any of the routers and systems using an internet connection, and the login ID and password for a system will have to be changed on a daily basis. So that's the level of thought that has been put behind this, because I understand that misinformation and disinformation can be really critical at this sensitive time, but at the same time the hope of finding the truth, and internet plays a huge role over there, Pankaj. Aren't we clamping down on the aspirations of the people who want to return to normalcy?
Yes, there is obviously a significant demand and a wish that peace and harmony should return. And Kabir, in these days and times, obviously what is happening in Manipur is very unfortunate. But if you take do a reality check, you would see there are so many entrepreneurs that are there. Small and big in the hilly state, in the northeastern state of Manipur. There are so many students who might be taking online classes. There are so many youngsters who have to apply for jobs. And obviously then you have, a situation which is unprecedented in the country itself. So internet, as they say, कि आज की सबसे बड़ी जरूरतें चार हैं, रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान और वाईफाई. इन चारों के साथ, if you have to live without even one of them, the survival becomes difficult. And for a state which is obviously divided on ethnic lines, people want to stress upon their identity, their causes, their side of the story, and their rights. Obviously, internet becomes a very charged tool. And if it is weaponized also, then that becomes a trouble for law and order for the administration as well. So a judicious approach towards the use of internet, which is one of the biggest weapons these days, not just within the country, but internationally, I think the administration is the best judge for it. Those who are observing the situation on ground should be mindful of its usage and misuse. And I, for one, would always support, the stand of the government. The way they have shown their intent, they have given conditional lifting of the internet ban. But yes, just for the continuous, and fast spreading of fake news at times. Because remember, Kabir, the problem here is that yes, these people who are fighting, they are fighting for their cause. But if there is even an iota, even 1% of an anti-social element angle to it, who want to escalate this matter beyond the legitimate rights and demands, like we saw in the case of the May 4 video, then it becomes a problem. And for government, I would say it would rather be alert than be sorry. As far as the use of internet and as far as the giving relaxation is concerned.
There's another aspect over here as well, Pankaj. It's not just the fact that there are still apprehensions regarding the spread of disinformation, false rumors through the use of social media platforms, but there's also the aspect of sending out, bulk messages or SMSs for mobilization of mobs and agitators and demonstrators and various demonstrations that have been carried out. And we've seen the kind of people that got together for the demonstration in Chura Chandpur recently after the May 4 video was it went viral on social media, and that can cause loss of life and damage to public or private property. That's another aspect that the government is certainly looking at. Only last week the Supreme Court had refused to interfere with the Manipur High Court order, and that Manipur High Court order had directed the state to partially lift the ban on internet services. Now it seems like some progressive steps are being taken, but how progressive and what kind of effect will this have on the ground is a completely different question. The bottom line still remains that there is a partial upliftment of the internet ban, which certainly is going to be a welcome step, like Pankaj mentioned before. All right, Pankaj, let's shift our focus over here. We also have, the Supreme Court coming down heavily on the centre and the Nagaland government. And this time around, for its question over the lack of 33% reservation for women in Nagaland's civic polls. And the statement that has been put out by the Supreme Court, that's very interesting. It says if it's not a BJP-led government, if it's not a BJP-led state, then you criticize the hell out of that state.
Sorry, Kabir, could you please come up with your question once again?
Well, I was just talking about, how the Supreme Court has come down heavily on the Nagaland government and the central government over its lack of 33% quota for women in the civic polls. And it says at a drop of hat, you take a stand against non-BJP states.
Well, yes, this rap, from the Supreme Court, obviously, many would say that it has become a routine affair now. And as far as the calling out of the government on matters such as these, which are very intricate, which have a long-lasting impact, have become very common now. And the government should be rather more wary of any development or steps that it is going to take as far as say a delimitation in Assam is concerned, the allocation of reservations to the Garo and Khasi tribes in Nagaland is concerned, for that matter, I would say changing the syllabus of state boards and central boards are concerned. All these things put the government in a very tight spot. They are they are under the scanner, and this time around Supreme Court coming out and asking the government to, take a look at what it has decided as far as Nagaland is concerned. So, see, I mean, judicial authorities, judicial oversight, or, their checks and balances that are in place are always welcome. But if the government has good reasons to go for what it has decided, then I guess we have known this government to fight it out tooth and nail, even in the corridors of Supreme Court. So let's see how it turns out to be. And but yes, for this particular NDA and Narendra Modi government, I would say that with such unrest in Manipur, as of now, any change, any sort of ethnic change on ethnic lines or societal lines, everything would go through the scanner of Manipur.
It'll have it'll act as a catalyst for. It'll have larger implications and ripple effect. Certainly, the Supreme Court here says, Pankaj, you will take an extreme stand against state governments which may not be amenable to you. Your own state government is violating the constitutional scheme and you don't want to do anything. How can you wash your hands off of it? This comes from a bench led by Justice S.K. Kaul that told Additional Solicitor General K.M. Nataraj, who represented the centre. Now, the BJP is a partner in coalition government led by the Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party in Nagaland. The urban local body elections have been long overdue in the state, where the last elections were held in the year 2004. Nagaland failed to implement one-third reservation for women in the civic body elections, which is why the Supreme Court has come down heavily. 2004 was the last time civic polls were held in Nagaland.
Well, that's the whole, I would say, sorry state of affairs, Kabir. We talk about, putting Northeast on our priority list. We talk about bringing peace and amenity in Northeast. But if you see that since 2004, which is almost 18, 19 years from now, if there has been no local body polls, then how do you expect the grassroots level service delivery, first of all, and secondly, the faith of the common people in the administrative polity? That becomes very weak, because not every villager would want to go to a high court or a district court, for his pleas to be heard. So for them, the recourse becomes the gram panchayats, the block level, the taluka level officers. And if that leadership is missing as of now, then I think either it would be one-way traffic or it would be no traffic at all. As far as the administrative give and take is concerned. So it's a worrisome situation, definitely. And as I was mentioning, it's not just Nagaland. If you take a look at what happened in Meghalaya, what is happening in Mizoram and Manipur, Conrad Sangma obviously had to face the ire of some miscreants when his office was attacked the day before yesterday on the choice of a winter capital of Tura, whether it should be made winter capital or not. So slowly but surely, I wouldn't say that these were the embers which were covered and now they have suddenly started to sprout. But I think with the unrest in Manipur, with the government on the back foot, somewhere down the line, the cracks have opened. It looks like people and voices from other states too have found an avenue to vent out.
And reservation and quota is, at the center of the entire conflict in Manipur as well. So I agree with you when you say that, people will be very careful if they want to touch any of, these issues. But the fact that we're here is because nobody wanted to touch these issues in the past and kept, pushing them under the rug. So what's going to happen? How will the judiciary and the executive and the legislative here act on this particular, quota policy, the reservation policy, when we're looking at the entire Northeast, is going to be very interesting. The WFI protest, Pankaj, moving on. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, people said that, his grip over the world, the Wrestling Federation of India, that is history now. His grip is going to be no more. And neither did his son, find a mention on that particular electoral list when we're looking at the WFI elections. But his son-in-law, who's representing Bihar, along with, several other mentions from Bihar, his son-in-law still finds a mention in that particular list. Wasn't it one of the demands of the wrestlers that, nobody, none of the relatives of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh are going to be part of the electoral, college?
Yes, of course, Kabir, and this is the travesty and the times that we are living in as of now. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the man obviously accused but not guilty, and as India judicial system would follow that innocent until proven guilty. But we have seen in the past, we have seen so many examples that if a doubt, if a shadow has been cast on your character, on your administrative affairs, then it's better that you step aside, which Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh has done as of now. But the demands that were made by the wrestlers included, as you mentioned, that neither Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh nor his kin or relatives should be allowed to participate in the office bearers or the members of the executive committee meetings and the elections also. Now this Brij Bhushan's son Karan is out of the electoral process, but as you mentioned, his son-in-law has
Vishal Pratap Singh. And Karan and Vishal were, pegged to be the heir, the next in line to Brij Bhushan in terms of his legacy with the Wrestling Federation of India. But with his son now out, people said that, that legacy has come to a standstill. Now this son-in-law has entered the fray. So that legacy does continue to some extent, doesn't it?
Well, it's not a legacy. If proven guilty, then it would be a blot. And obviously, these things once again hiding behind the finer lines of the judicial processes, the twisting of the terms and conditions. This is something that is more often than not, they pass through this semi-permeable membrane. But what fails to make the mark is the fact that quality, merit goes for a toss. So if Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's son-in-law, Vishal, has the merit, has all the boxes checked as far as the qualifiers, as well as the conditions for qualifying is concerned, then he is more than welcome. But if it's just the idea, if it's just the relation with Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is concerned, if that is the only aspect of his choice, then I think it's a sorry state of affair.
And it's not just that. I'm reading here, it says that, the WFI elections, the list surprisingly includes members who are not associated with the existing state bodies as well. So you've got some surprising names in that particular list of the WFI elections. What's going to happen in the WFI elections? Of course, we're way ahead of time, but how do you say it? Dal mein kuch kala hai.
दाल में कुछ काला है. 12 अगस्त को पता चलेगा जब इलेक्शंस हैं. एंड ब्रिजभूषण सिंह सन इन लॉ, बिहार रेसलिंग प्रेसिडेंट विशाल प्रताप सिंह, the report say he has found a mention in the list of one of the two voters from the state alongside Vijay, Vinay Kumar Singh, Karan and Vishal were seen as natural successors to Brijbhushan's throne. The choice of words, throne.
That's how they put it, and that's how he saw it as well. It was a throne to Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, and that's with the despotic way. I mean, with the allegations that have been leveled against the former WFI president. I mean, he did treat it like a throne.
Kabir. Definitely. One particular line, Kabir, which Times of India's last page has mentioned, but Brijbhushan and his son's withdrawal from the fray is largely being viewed as an end of the BJP politicians' era in Indian wrestling.
Now, but is it his end? Is it his end? I mean, the son-in-law is still there.
Exactly. Knowing for a fact that these elements treat this as an era. हमारी तो भाई शताब्दियां होती हैं. हमारा तो the way the saying goes कि हमारे चर्चे होते हैं. The way unfortunately these sporting bodies are being treated, especially WFI. I mean, trust me. I mean, as a young parent, I feel that we should have options more than just cricket. Okay, but if you have such elements and such issues with sporting bodies, I mean, we are left with no choice but to go for cricket once again. Why so? Because cricket performance, would speak here. In these lesser known sports, or in these sports which obviously we only celebrate when an Olympic medal is there or a national or international medal is there. So for characters like Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, a BJP MP, it becomes easier, I think, to stay low profile yet have their way, have their fiefdom, have their era, have their reign, as the report puts it. And why not? The choice of words obviously raises it to a level where it looks like उनका साम्राज्य था जिसे अब ध्वस्त कर दिया गया है. If that is the case, albeit I would say with a certain sense of condition here, that if proven guilty, then I think we should be rather looking for more of such characters in these sporting bodies and beat them out.
Well, absolutely, because that comparison actually holds true. If had something like this happened in the cricketing fraternity, people would have reacted way swifter and with a heavy hand than they have in this particular scenario. And that throne analogy, I mean, that is certainly shocking. Let's also move on and talk about our little baby up in the sky, in the space, Chandrayaan-3, India's moon mission, India's bid to become only the fourth nation on this planet to successfully attempt a soft landing on the south pole, the dark side of the moon. Chandrayaan update, Pankaj, to give you and the viewers as well. The ISRO has raised the orbit of the lunar mission for the 5th time successfully. The mission gradually is boosting its orbit around the Earth, and the lander is preparing for its final shot towards the moon, called the lunar insertion. Now, the spacecraft has been placed into an elliptic parking orbit. I mean, to the non-scientific person, it seems like the spacecraft is just in a limbo, going round and round around the Earth till about the 1st of August, for when it will finally make its shot and direction towards the lunar insertion. It seems like the spacecraft right now is well positioned. Everything is going according to plan, right?
Right, absolutely. And what a way, actually, Kabir, to mention Chandrayaan here. Obviously, when we wake up to the vagaries and I would say at times miseries of nature. Talking about the extraterrestrial space also is very fascinating, and knowing the reasons behind it also is pretty exciting for many. Now, as far as Chandrayaan, as you said, the little baby is concerned from the Indian side up in the skies, obviously. So basically, what is happening is when Chandrayaan, obviously, when the rocket left the rover and the lander up in the space, it circles around the moon and tries to, get into the lunar orbit. And with 5 sets of rounds minimum, which I think I've picked up, it's trans-lunar injection, which is the entry into the lunar orbit happens. So far, things have gone perfectly okay. Yesterday also, ISRO came up with the bulletin saying that uh, the functioning is perfectly fine. Now, following the final orbit raising maneuver, the ISRO would be performing the trans-lunar injection, which means that the lander and the rover would be entering the lunar orbit, the moon's orbit, on August 1 to slingshot Chandrayaan 3 towards the moon. This part, the slingshot part and the soft landing part, was the one that kept all of us on tenterhooks when last time in 2022 also, sorry, 2019, the Chandrayaan 2 had been sent up in the sky. And the next firing, the translunar injection, TLI as they call it, is planned for August 1st between midnight 1 a.m. IST. So basically, this is, Kabir, a simple aspect that the apparatus would be entering into the lunar orbit and then circling the moon. It would try to make a soft landing on the lunar surface at the dedicated space on the darker
Right.
side of the moon.
Once it's about 100 kilometers away from the lunar surface is when it's finally going to make its descent. Last time around, it was the descent portion that did not go
Yes.
as per plans. This time around, everybody's hopeful. I mean, at least the Indian Space Research Organization is certainly hopeful that it will happen. There are several other modifications and several other technologies that have been retrofitted into the old, the lander and rover, because the basic design is pretty much the same, just the size and a little bit of variations in the latest Pragyan rover and the Vikram lander. All eyes on the 1st of August when we're finally going to slingshot into the lunar, orbit that is going to be called the lunar insertion. All eyes on that. All right, Pankaj. So Chandrayaan 3, India's moon mission, is certainly doing absolutely fine. It is the 24th Kargil Vijaydiwas, something that is so close to the Prime Minister's heart as well. Every now and then we see those visuals, but what a momentous day for Indian history. Those are visuals coming in. The Defense Minister, paying his tributes to the fallen soldiers, to the Jawans that laid down their lives in this particular historical battle. 24th Kargil Vijay Diwas. Pankaj, what was Vijay Diwas like back in the day, and what kind of changes are you seeing today? I mean, there are several protocols that have been added, but some things they just don't change. I mean, at least the feeling for starters.
Right, Kabir. Very, momentous occasion, I would say, paying homage to the fallen heroes, those who kept India and its borders safe from the aggressors from Pakistan, the regular army, in the guise of terrorists, obviously being chased away, killed, and sent back. Kargil Diwas, every time, when the mention comes, obviously, 1999 it was, Kabir, and if I recall it correctly, I had just given my papers for class 10th, the first board examination that we had taken. And now this particular Kargil war came right after when the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee had made a visit to Lahore and had met the then Pakistani Prime Minister at that time, Nawaz Sharif. And when he came back, obviously Nawaz Sharif was thrown out of power. It was a coup had happened, and Pervez Musharraf had taken over the reins. But before that, this Kargil war started to happen as the ice was started to melt in the upper reaches of Jammu and Kashmir. Uh, it was surprising because we saw Bofors guns at that time. Doordarshan used to beam all those visuals, Bofors guns firing, shells on the top of the hill, names like Tiger Hill, all these Chushul sectors, all these names started doing rounds. For us, who were growing up, it was, we knew that something is wrong, but India is winning. That's what the general sentiment was, and they did actually. Dras sector, all these names at that particular point of time. A pall of gloom sort of feeling was there that India is at war, but at that point, it was difficult to understand whether is this what the war is like. And now, 20 years, 23 years down the line, paying homage at the Kargil to the Kargil martyrs, and also eulogizing their role, their valor, is the least that a country could do to its soldiers. We remain obviously indebted to all of them, and till date, it purgates the same emotions that India faced with such challenges at that time. Still, beat the enemy back and send them packing.
Absolutely. India remembers the heroes of the 1999 Kargil War. The main ceremony, the visuals that we're looking at, took place at Dras in Ladakh, remembering the martyrdom of 559 soldiers. Even as tributes are offered at the Kargil War Memorial on social media everywhere. Pankaj, we're looking at the visuals of the Defense Minister taking a look at the wall with the list of all the fallen 559 soldiers that very bravely laid down their lives to protect the country. 24th Kargil Vijaydiwas. All right, Pankaj, let's move on. Another important meeting that has taken place at on an international scale is that of the BRICS event in Johannesburg. Now, India's NSA, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, he was in conversation with Wang Yi at the BRICS event in Johannesburg, and he gave a pretty tough message to China. He's saying that, trust is completely out of the window when we're looking at the recent skirmishes that have taken place along the line of actual control. He says trust has been eroded due to China's border actions. This is NSA Doval's tough message to China.
Well, indeed, Kabir, this couldn't have been put in any better format as NSA Doval has done, and he has called a spade a spade. He has been upfront, blunt with his Chinese counterpart, saying that whatever happened on the LAC has eroded our trust, point blank, full stop. That's it. So why it is important as of now here? Because see, Wang Yi, when he was meeting Wang Yi, even I think Wang Yi also did not know that he was going to be made the foreign minister also. But having said that, it was about time, and that's why forums like these, like BRICS, are important, because it is away from the impact of, say, a US or a Europe, firstly. Secondly, it has bigger and smaller players from almost all the continents, also Asia, Africa, then Russia is there, definitely. For India to put its side of the story, to put its grievances is very important. And without mincing the words, Ajit Doval, putting the ball back in Chinese court, saying that, yes, trade is fine. We are ready. Post-COVID era fight is also fine. We will cooperate. We will do whatever we can together to help the world also. But as far as this LAC episodes are concerned, that has eroded the trust. And trust is what these two nations work on as of now. We have seen several companies, Kabir, which have started from China, but now have found refuge or a home in India as well. And as India would be, you like it or not, is one of the biggest consumers of Chinese products, and China holds India as one of the biggest markets also, and so does the West also, so does Europe, so does Africa also, and we too also supply a lot of things to China and the world, especially the rice episode that is happening as of now. So if the trust is broken, if the trust is eroded, if the trust is dented, then I think the person responsible should be given the onus and not the aggrieved party. And that's why Ajit Doval's point of view of telling China in its face that, hey, look, this LAC drama must stop, and this is impacting the trust factor. And if trust is lost, then I guess there are no more handshakes then.
Well, absolutely. Ajit Doval's tough message to China. Trust has been eroded due to China's border actions. But when we're talking about border, Pankaj, let's move on and talk about this as well. There's another case of cross-border love. An Indian woman that has married her Facebook friend in Pakistan. This woman is a mother of two who's traveled to a Pakistani village to marry her friend. Anju converts to Fatima, marries Pakistan Facebook friend. So another social media angle at play here. From Alwar to Upper Dir in Pakistan, that's the travel she had to go through for love, cross-border love. I mean, is there more than what meets the eye here? Just like, how we're probing the Seema Haider case?
Well, it looks like, a reply in the same coin as far as Seema Haider's case is concerned. But then, Kabir, for love, people have always transcended boundaries. And since we spoke about the 1999 days of Kargil, our school days, and since I can brag more about age and experience than you, Kabir, unfortunately, there was a story in our CBSE class English book, and many of our viewers would have read that. It was called Love Across the Salt Desert by Keki and Daruwala. And there, a spice seller from India and his daughter, obviously, were on the Indian side. There was a boy on the other side of the fence in Pakistan. And their love story, later on which the movie Refugee was also made, was based. And that particular feeling of what lengths can you go to find love and to meet your loved ones is something which doesn't come as a surprise to this new generation, I would say. And as with coupled with social media, it gives you wings, and obviously there are nitty-gritties involved. There is visa, there is paperwork and everything. But कहते हैं ना कि जिनको प्यार हो जाता है उनके लिए कोई भी सीमाएं काम नहीं करती हैं, और सीमा यहाँ आ गई हैं obviously, and Fatima has crossed over to that side, changed her name. Interestingly, they also released a pre-wedding video also where they used elaborate use of drones and top shots and everything. It was a delight to watch that video as well, and that maybe shows the heights and depths of their love, Kabir.
Well, I don't know about depths, but heights for sure. I mean, from Alwar to Upper Dir in Pakistan, that is certainly quite a hefty bit of travel with her two kids. I mean, from Alwar, and this is a lady who's changed her name to Fatima now. I mean, sarhad इन्हें क्या रोकेगी? इन्हें सरहद क्या रोकेगी?
And the morning newspapers have both Hindi and English have a very subtle and a different take on them. Mentioning like Navbharat Times says, Alwar ki Anju bani Fatima, Islam qabul karke Pakistani dost Nasrullah se shaadi ki. I mean, about Anju, it was said that she has just gone to meet him. At least that was clear. But the marriage proposal and marriage part came much later. It was said that she would come back. But yes, I mean, each one to its own. I mean, if they found love there, then so be it.
All right, let's shift our focus to the unrelenting rain across India. I'm not going to focus on a particular region, northwest, northeast, down south. It's happening all across the length and breadth of the country. Schools are shut in Telangana. Situation in Raigad has gone bad. In Noida, where we are right now, cars have completely been submerged. The spate of Hindon is something to look at. I mean, it looks beautiful, but it's so dangerous at the same time. All of this due to heavy downpour. There is morning rush hour traffic that has hit cities, you name it, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, Noida, Mumbai, Bengaluru. These are visuals coming in from Noida where, traffic is slow right now because complete waterlogging on the roads, and people of Noida were, like you pointed out earlier in the show, Pankaj, they were talking about how, all of this flooding hasn't happened in Noida, and there was a proper Noida versus Delhi war that was going on Twitter. it seems like Noida is now facing the right kind of music. Heavy rain warning for Odisha as well, because of a cyclonic circulation that is forming in the area. Roads are waterlogged in various parts of Delhi NCR. And interestingly, Pankaj, up in the hills, when we're looking at the pilgrimage, the Char Dham Yatra, one major all-weather road has completely broken down. That means 15 more danger spots up in the, in the hills. And the Char Dham Yatra already, the travel gets a little treacherous if the weather becomes even slightly inclement. And now,
All right. Well, definitely, Kabir, worrisome situation. The visuals in itself give you the telltale story of how bad the situation is as of now in the plains. Obviously, these are the city roads of Delhi and Noida, obviously becoming some sort of a water pool there. Now, concern is that water would still recede in these parts, and so much of television coverage hasn't elicited much response from the municipal authorities. The efforts that are being done are, I think, proving to be a little less than what is expected. Meanwhile, Char Dham, 200 kilometers of all-weather road has been obstructed, and 15 new danger spots have come up. This is worrisome once again because Char Dham project, the Char Dham corridor, there were tunnels being made, and those construction of the tunnels has actually caused cracks in the roads. ऋषिकेश से चंबा तक 70 किलोमीटर तक रोड का काम पूरा हो चुका। चंबा में सुरंग के निर्माण से रोड पर भूधसाव से दरारें दिखने लगी हैं। 2 साल पहले इस सुरंग से 500 मीटर आगे धसी रोड की मरम्मत भी इसी साल हुई है। रोड निर्माण से पहले कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी को प्रोटेक्शन वॉल बनाने को कहा गया है। Now places like Badrinath, Kedarnath, Yamunotri, Gangotri, all these Char Dham projects, connecting them with roads and tunnels is the project, but obviously adding to this nature's fury and the construction, Kabir, is not helping the cause, and especially in these fragile mountains. We saw what happened, earlier this year in December and January when cracks had started appearing in the mountains in Uttarakhand. That was also
the temple town, Joshimath. And
yes,
that same particular article that you're probably reading it off, it says, इसलिए रोड बाधित। वैज्ञानिक प्रोफेसर बिष्ट का कहना है कि ऑल वेदर रोड के लिए पहाड़ों की सीधी कटाई की जा रही है। There is a straight cut in these mountains. जबकि जहां से भी सड़कें निकालनी होती हैं वहां पर स्लोप से चट्टानों की कटाई होनी चाहिए. So there should be a sloped cut, a slant cut. However, we're looking at straight cuts that are being made across mountains when we're forming and building our roads. Dr. SP Sati के मुताबिक सीधी कटाई के कारण बारिश में पत्थर गिर रहे हैं. That's the main reason. The rock falls and the boulder falls have become all the quite more common now.
Absolutely, Kabir. And the news flashes also coming in Noida, Greater Noida schools to remain closed. So those who were worrying about their kids.
These visuals are also of the flash floods, that took place in Kullu because of the cloudburst situation. I mean, Kullu, Manali, the entire area, we already saw what happened, towards the middle of June. And now again, Mother Nature completely wreaking havoc on these hill stations.
Yes, absolutely, Kabir. And coming back to Char Dham, the report also says, which in today's morning newspapers, Dainik Bhaskar has it, इन नए स्पॉट्स के बारे में, the danger spots, the 15 new danger spots, the report says, इन नए स्पॉट्स के बारे में सरकार के पूर्व के सर्वे में कोई आशंका तक नहीं जताई गई थी. पीडब्ल्यूडी सचिव पंकज पांडे का कहना है कि जहां भी रोड ब्लॉक है उसे जल्द खोलने का प्रयास करते हैं. ऑल वेदर रोड में जहां भी धसाव है या सड़कें टूटी है उसे नेशनल हाईवे अथॉरिटी ठीक करा रही है. See, the point here is, Kabir, nature's fury, no one has control over it, that's for sure. But when it comes to man human intervention. That's why there are dedicated bodies like PWD, CPWD. Then we have road maintenance bodies. We have other border areas where BRO takes care of the roads. If they are not doing their due diligence, when Joshimat started reporting cracks, the government survey that came that painted a very rosy picture. So much so that it was heard that no independent body was also asked, was allowed to file their reports. And now suddenly 15 new spots come in Char Dham, danger spots. Roads are caving in. So if we are turning a blind eye and leaving people for their mercy, then what is the job of a government? What is the job of a local administration? What is the job of municipal bodies? Then it could be very well a banana republic, that each one to its own. But there has to be checks and balances, and people should be held accountable.
Visuals from Warangal in Telangana as well, Pankaj, shifting our focus from the mountainous region of North India, going a little bit down south. Warangal, Telangana, visuals, the entire locality that has been inundated, submerged. A lot of people that have been evacuated. Look at the shanties behind those people. Houses, commodities, household items, all entirely washed away.
Absolutely. Nothing, not happy scenes down south as well. Warangal, Kerala for that matter. These excessive rains have once again inundated the low-lying areas, and NDRF, as we had discussed yesterday, also on duty and helping the affected parties to, find relief and succor.
Right, so rain pain across the states. The morning rush hour traffic is hit in cities. The rivers are in spate across many states. Noida finally succumbing to the pressure of the unrelenting rain, even as evacuation process continues down south, and Kullu Manali facing that cloudburst. And now we're learning the Char Dham Yatra, that big, kilometer-long all-weather road has completely broken down. 15 more danger spots when the Char Dham Yatra is being looked at. Pankaj, let's move on. Some other stories that we must talk about as well, because when we're looking at water, just like yesterday, we need to talk about the waterborne diseases as well. Once the water is pumped out, it will leave back silt and dirt, and with it a lot of diseases. Conjunctivitis has seen a major uptick in the national capital. According to the AIMS in the national capital, there are about 100 cases every day that are cropping up, especially in the young children.
Well, yes, this is also another in trouble that comes with incessant rains, Kabir, and it makes the owners of the schools, the parents, all the more clumsier to sensitize the kids, the adults as well, for that matter, to maintain proper hygiene and, if possible, stay indoors if infected with conjunctivitis. Not touch your eyes, keep washing your hands, use sanitizer, if possible use masks also, and try avoid the dusty and unhygienic conditions where there is a possibility of something entering your eyes is concerned. As far as All India Institute of Medical Science, the topmost medical body in the country is concerned, one of its branches obviously in New Delhi, the oldest one, is witnessing the footfall by the numbers of hundreds. And obviously, this conjunctivitis coupled with the rain and the changing weather pattern is concerned. Obviously, Kabir, if you look at the bigger picture, these scenes would become more common if the proper treatment to the nature, the global warming aspect is not taken into consideration. Because when we think of global warming, changing patterns in the weather conditions, so we always think of melting ice glaciers and water submerging parts of the world. But rains, incessant rains, untimely rains, changing weather patterns, July or June doesn't feel like a summer unlike last year. All those things somehow are a resultant of the continuous oversight of the natural importance, and hence the fallout is coming back to us in visuals like these, where we see people falling sick, I mean, this is conjunctivitis as of now. We are talking about waterborne other diseases like diarrhea too.
Encephalitis, malaria, I mean, you name it. And standing water means more mosquitoes, in the vicinity.
Right, right, right. So that's what uh, you know the immediate fallout, I would say, is concerned.
Are
And
schools taking the right kind of precautions and measures, Pankaj? I mean, you've got a young daughter, she goes to school. Are there precautions that the school administration is taking?
yes, I mean, see, schools are pretty much wary about what is happening and what should be done, and likewise, the swimming classes, the classrooms or functions where multiple kids perform at the same time. Those have been put on hold as of now. The schools have today, giving an example, Noida and Greater Noida have shut down their schools, keeping the rainy condition and waterlogging in mind. Obviously, on the kids, the fallout is on their health, and rightly so, the schools have chosen to, close the school. But having said that, the schools, yes, take proper precautionary measures. In Uttar Pradesh, in Noida, the state government also ensures that there is a particular body which visits the schools and checks the hygienic condition, whether there is water logging or not, whether there is some stagnant water. The spraying, the fumigation of the classes and the school buildings is done regularly. So all those checks and balances are in place. But yes, not without the lurking risk of kids falling for waterborne diseases, especially in these changing conditions.
Well, all right. Let's also take a look at some international developments, Pankaj. The wildfires in Greece, horrible visuals that have, in fact, come across, even as Greece battles, the wildfires. There are massive efforts that are on to, in various areas. The 10% of Rhodes Island was completely been damaged. These are visuals that I'm sure you can look at as well. Now, forest fires in Uttarakhand, forest fire in Himachal Pradesh, they're deadly, but these ones look, something right out of the park.
The visuals, obviously, this is, the wildfires from Greece, obviously, is something that is unprecedented, and 10% of the road's land area is burnt, something which is throwing the Greek firefighters also into a tizzy. The homes have been burnt, tourists have been
Two
forced to
pilots,
flee
Pankaj,
Greece.
two pilots have died. They were firefighting, the wildfires, and the plane crashed. Firefighters are constantly battling the flames right now. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 people have died in Greece's wildfires very recently. The 2 firefighting pilots and a farmer have been killed on Evia. More flights return tourists home from Rhodes Island. State broadcasters say about 10% of Rhodes Island area has completely been burnt. Temperatures are set to rise on Wednesday. Now, 3 people became the first known fatalities. Out of these 3 people, 2 are firefighting pilots themselves. One of them is a farmer. The Canadair CL-215 plane, which was fighting the wildfires, crashed on the island of Evia. This is east of Athens, according to the official statement of the Greek Air Force. The 2 people who have died, the pilots that have lost their lives, were aged 34 and 27, fairly young, and were firefighting these fires when their plane completely crashed. Now, TV footage showed the plane dropping water over a fire and then crashing into a hillside and bursting into flames itself. Hundreds of firefighters have been deployed on the ground. Pankaj, what's the situation, in the newspapers? What's the information over there?
Well, Kabir, Rhodes Island, those who have made trips to Greece and those who know, obviously, tourist place. And Greece, otherwise too, its economy, if you remove the dole that it receives from the European Union, is mainly based on tourism. And this wildfire obviously has left several tourists stranded there, and also making it difficult for others to make a jaunt to Greece. Needless to say, it's a backbreaking phenomena for Greece as of now. Unfortunate developments happening, houses being burned, people have lost lives, some rescue, planes and choppers also had to face unfortunate consequences there. As far as the newspapers are concerned, then not much, is being covered as far as the fire part is concerned. But yes, the impact of it is definitely find some mention. And we saw flashes yesterday how the firefighters have actually been engaged in attending to these uh, emergency situations. The mountains, obviously, the land area which has been burned down is quite huge. And for Greece
It's
to
10%
actually
of
give back to
entirety of
that.
the Rhodes Island, and we can only hope that the people and the firefighters of Rhodes Island that are currently deployed in action come out unscathed. We've already seen the loss of two firefighters in this particular wildfire, and also the loss of a farmer over there. Even as another plane that we're looking at continues the fire, continues dousing the fire. We'll keep bringing you updates from Greece. Right now, it seems like this fire is going to take a long time to get under control. Pankaj, coming back to India and politics that's taking shape, one important thing that I would want to take up is that of the Janata Dal Secular. Now, former Prime Minister of our country, Deve Gowda, and his son, H.D. Kumaraswamy, hefty in Karnataka politics when we're looking at the old Mysuru region, but also equally important players when we're looking at the Lok Sabha elections. Come elections, post-result, pre-result, you've got the Deve Gowdas, the H.D. Kumaraswamy that bunk up in Singapore. There's a lot of detailing and meeting that takes place in Singapore. Now, this is what we're picking up across newspaper reports, is that Deve Gowda has said that JDS is going to go it alone in the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. He says, we're not going to be in an alliance with anybody, not the NDA, not INDIA, not anybody.
Well, coming from JDS, that it won't form any alliance with either NDA or India. Obviously, it comes at the back of the sweet drubbing that it received, in the Karnataka elections, and the speculations were rife that JDS's H.D. Kumaraswamy could be, shaking hands with the BJP, and possibly for JDS, there are not many bad reasons why it shouldn't be siding over with the BJP as of now, but the patriarch, the stalwart of the JDS, H.D. Deve Gowda, saying that it won't side, comes as a surprise to me, because JDSC, I mean, when H.D. Deve Gowda became the Prime Minister of the country, obviously it was a third front government, and it was a coalition that had chosen Deve Gowda as the chief, and he became the Prime Minister at that time. Now, a party like JDS, which fancies and banks on not independent performance, but a collective performance, and by stroke of luck, if they have the requisite amount of votes or seats, then they become the kingmaker and they form the government or become the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister for that matter, like H.D. Deve Gowda did in Karnataka. Whether it makes any difference or not at this point of time, I don't think so, because talking about Karnataka, we have Congress in the India fold. Down south, Stalin is in INDIA fold, India fold. Then the fence sitters like TDP's Chandrababu Naidu and YSRCP's Jagan Mohan, they haven't opened their cards. Looks like they would stay independent or maybe go with the BJP. So for a party like JDS, which hasn't got much support now in these elections also, I don't think, it makes a lot of difference whether they go solo or whether they go with anyone else. I believe that as we get closer to 2024, post-poll alliances, maybe JDS, just to stay relevant, could side with either of the winning parties.
All right, and also, lastly, let's also take a look at this one little development that that I'm seeing on the newspaper here. Pankaj, it says, tackling award vapsi. The parliamentary panel has come out and it has said that it wants an undertaking from all these athletes because it is wary of award vapsi. Basically, to make sure that the athletes who won these awards or various literary awards, various film awards, they can't give these awards back as a sign of protest. What is it that you're picking up on the newspapers?
Well, this is a firefighting exercise, I think, talking about fire and. See, Kabir, again, when we talk about awards and their return, there is a term that comes to our mind is award wapsi. And the media coined another term, award wapsi gang term. And returning the award also became a way of a form of protest, registering your protest silently. Either you take the award and you return it later, citing defiance or citing unhappiness with the government or with the body that has given you that award, or you simply refuse to take that award. So this was pretty much rampant, and we have seen this happening quite a lot. There was a time when many of the laureates and the artists and other members of the society had chosen that path. But now the award recipient should take no return vow. This is what the panel says. And what is this panel all about? Recipients of the awards by government-run academies. This academy is, if you take a look at the spelling, it's AKADEMIS, like Sahitya Kala Akademi and rest of the ilk, should be asked to give an undertaking that they will not return the awards as a mark of any protest. Later, a parliamentary panel has recommended in its latest report tabled in the parliament. Now, what is Sahitya Kala Akademi? I mean, one of the many academies that is being run by the government is that it's a government-appointed literary body, Sahitya Kala Akademi, which vets and makes recommendations for an outstanding work in the field of literature, be it any language. So that's Sahitya Kala Akademi for you. It is centered here in Delhi.
It also says, Pankaj, it also says, the parliamentary panel has also said that Sahitya Academy or other academies are apolitical organizations. There is no place for politics. The committee therefore suggests that whenever an award is given, the consent of the recipient must be taken so that he or she does not return it because of political reasons, as it is disgraceful to the country.
See, Kabir, that's
is it so is it disgraceful to the country if somebody wants to give back the award as a sign and mark of protest?
I would take this answer to one of the comments on our chat box when we were discussing Anju and Seema Heather. So we mentioned that transcending for love. Now, Sweet Blue Man says that transcending for love is okay, but for married women to break their family and unite with someone else is a betrayal. Factually, it is correct. That's fine. But if I link it to award Wapsi thing, you can certainly, there is a marriage, there is a concept that a writer should abide by the rules of Sahitya Kala Akademi or the government run academies. And if accepting that award, there should be no condition, but you have to, live with that. You have to accept that. But the question here is, how would you keep literature in shackles? If you are awarding someone, say a writer on tribal rights, or a writer on Dalit rights, and if he's awarded with the Sahitya Kala Akademi Award for best contribution to the upliftment of the Dalits in the country, and next morning, if there is any atrocity on the Dalits and you become the flag bearer of their support, and you end up on the wrong side of the government, and then you say that I will return this award, then how do you control that? So this is that kind of situation.
Marriage is a two-way
literature.
street, Pankaj. Marriage is a two-way street. If that analogy works, then the piousness of this alliance, this matrimonial alliance, has to be maintained by both the sides, not just the responsibility of one of the partners in a matrimonial alliance.
Definitely. Obviously, it takes two to tango. There are so many examples to it. And the marriage of convenience should be avoided, both in terms of, the award boxy thing, and also in terms of Manju and Anju and Seema Heather. And trust me, Kabir, I mean, times are changing. And
So should we?
for matters like love, literature, drama, movies, films, the creative liberty, we might try to hinder or channelize or guide them, but it finds its own way. It is up to the viewer, it is up to the reader, it is up to the person who looks at these love affairs. How does he perceive? Nothing else. To put them into chains or shackles doesn't help, and so applies with the release of movies, the criticism of movies. If you don't like Oppenheimer with a Gita reference in it, don't watch it. But if it has been made and raising, brouhaha about mention of a particular, scripture in a particular scene, I think, then there are talks of creative liberty, then there are talks of, freedom of expression, all those things come in. But for how long?
And isn't giving the award back also a freedom of expression, a freedom of expressing their and marking their protest against anything or any particular reason. But there is some sort of, weightage to what the parliamentary panel is also saying. You know how you also pointed out that, using something like this very loosely, weaponizing your own awards and using them loosely does take away from the stature of this academy, takes away from the stature of that award, takes away from the stature of the hard work that the athlete or the artist might have put in. But of course, a ripple effect that is going to, come into effect with this new statement. People are going to be debating about this very, very soon. And only this year, we've seen a couple of award wapsis. Mirabai Channu vis-a-vis the Manipur issue, the WFI protest, Ganga mein baha dene medal ko baat ki. All of that happens, and it continuously has happened, be it the Kala Academies, be it the Arjun Awards, be it the national awards. People have time and again stepped up to give those awards back. So there, acknowledge that there is a problem, but is this the right way of firefighting that issue is, of course, up for debate. Pankaj, it seems like we've run completely out of time. The rain has also pretty much stopped outside. We still don't have newspapers here in the studio, but you've helped the viewers and myself a lot today. Many thanks for joining with us. Just to tell the viewers that next up, we've got some business news coming in. 11 a.m. we begin with our rolling coverage on Manipur. In the afternoon, the South Indian top news coming in from the south of India. 7 p.m. is the biggest debate of the day, the debate that you should certainly watch. It's called The Real Point. And later on in the evening at about 8 p.m, the top global news under the global lens. That's all the time we have for you. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Keep watching News 9.
BrahMos. Stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors, and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The Warship Killer. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT,